Renuka ma'am?
Yes, sir. I will start, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Please start. Welcome to all.
A very good evening to all the members present over here. On behalf of RFI, I R Renuka, Vice President, Telangana State, Department of Research and Innovation, Hyderabad, chapter, welcome you all to the 7-day training program on first-hand experience on SPSS Introductory Module. So let us start by giving a brief introduction about RFI. Research Foundation of India is strictly working for the social upliftment and higher education quality and Indian research promotions in the form of events like international and national conferences, seminars, workshops, symposiums, and other activities. RFI works for the integration of intellectual ideas across the globe to fulfill the thirst of innovation and humanity. RFI is concerned with improving the educational process by encouraging scholarly inquiry related to education and practical application of research results. Research Foundation of India is working for research and development for higher education. It has signed MOUs with top universities from India. RFI members are faculty, researchers, graduate students, and other distinguished professionals with rich and diverse expertise in education research. RFI does not take any financial sponsor from any government body. Research Foundation of India has signed 1,000 plus international conferences and workshops, FDP, symposia, etc., all over the world. Now, RFI is having 87 chapters in India and 80 chapters in Asian and other countries, and categorized in 5 board: West, East, South, North, and Central Zone. So, I, on behalf of RFI, welcome you all to the 7-day FDP program on first-hand experience on SPSS, the introductory module, organized by Parul University in association with Christian Eminent College, Vishisht School of Management, Nagindas Khandalwal College, Mumbai, Srimati KG Mittal College of Arts and Commerce, Career College, Bhopal, Sri Reva Gujarat Bal Niketan College, Sanavat, and sponsored by many other great organizations. So, the expert speaker for this 7-day FDP training program is Dr. Chanchala Jain. Dr. Chanchala Jain is an author, research expert, and academician with an experience of more than 10 years in the field of management and commerce. Presently, Madam is working as assistant professor in Prestige Institute of Management and Research, Indore. As a research expert and trainer, she has conducted many workshops and FDPs on SPSS module and research paper writing at national level. And recently, ma'am has successfully completed 2 international workshops at NEFU, Russia. She has chaired and co-chaired various conferences. She has rich experience of more than 8 years in research, and with this, she has more than 40 research papers published in various Scoopus, national and international journals. She has also presented research papers in more than 15 conferences and won 4 Best Papers Award at JIMS Delhi, Pacific University, Udaipur, and Prestige University, Indore. She is also a PhD guide, and 4 research scholars are pursuing PhD under her able guidance. She has also guided more than 500 plus students in their major and minor research projects. She is one of the founder members of Urja Counseling and Training Indore. As an author, she is also written a book on the crucial problem of our society along with a co-author titled as Atmahatya Kyun. Ma'am, we heartily welcome you for this 7-day training program, ma'am. Now the stage is yours. You can start the session, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Renu-
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Renuka ma'am, for introducing me on this online
Thank you.
platform. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before starting the session, I would extend my sincere gratitude to Ajay Jain sir, Saurabh Jain sir, Dr. Ashok Gupta sir for organizing this workshop and giving me invitation to conduct this workshop. So thank you RFI and all the members of RFI. So I think now, not going in much formalities, I can directly start my session. So may I start, Renuka ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you can start, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So I'm going to share my screen. Can anyone confirm me whether my screen is visible or not?
Ma'am, it's not visible, ma'am. Hi, yes, ma'am. It's visible now.
Okay, thank you so much, Renuka ma'am. So dear participants, before proceedings or before starting the session, I would firstly want to say a few things. First thing is, I think the name of the workshop is known by everyone. It is the first-hand SPSS or first-hand workshop on SPSS. So the purpose of this workshop is, that means you people need to also do the first-hand experience on the SPSS software along with me. Means whatever I will cover in these particular sessions, whatever I'm going to teach you, you also need to practice each and everything along with me. The practice sheets and everything I'll provide you through the WhatsApp group. So if you people will do the practice along with me, that way it would be very much, what I can say, this particular workshop would be very much fruitful for you. If you will learn along with me, that way it would be a beneficial workshop for every one of you. So with this, I'm starting my workshop with the beautiful quote given by the Aristotle. He said, "Tell me, I will forget. Show me, I will remember. Involve me, I will understand." So I hope with this particular quotation, you people can understand the importance of the title of this workshop. That means here, I will try to force you to involve in this particular sessions so that you would understand and learn the things about SPSS. So talking about the agenda of the day, as I'm going to discuss basics of SPSS today, but I think everyone know this thing. Whenever we are talking about SPSS, in most of the time we are talking about the research. So today I'm going to firstly discuss about the introduction to research. Then I'll talk about variables and measurement scales. Then I'll discuss data analysis techniques. Then I'll go for the introduction to SPSS, and then we'll see how we can define any particular variable in SPSS. So starting with the first agenda of the day, talking about the research. I think every one of us is familiar with this term research. Most of us generally say research is a combination of two words. Re plus search means searching again and again. So yes, dear friends, research is nothing but searching again and again. Say for example, if I want to study customer satisfaction. So customer satisfaction is a construct or is a variable. It is not like it has not been researched previously, but it has researched previously, but might be possible I want to study this particular construct in some particular fashion or in context to some particular field. So that way, research is nothing but it is a study of the existing facts and figures, and we are trying to draw some conclusions which were not drawn by the previous researchers. So now, for conducting any research or for writing any research paper, we need to go through to the particular components. So the very first component of the research paper or research study generally is the introduction part. So what is introduction? That generally whatever title we are deciding upon to write any research paper, so we are trying to divide that particular topic into certain keywords, and those keywords we need to discuss in the introduction part, Maybe sometimes we are writing the introduction on the basis of the keywords by referring certain research studies or by referring certain books. Sometimes we are also writing the keywords on the basis of our own experiences. So that way we are trying to formulate the base of the study by writing the introduction part. Then second thing is we need to generally write the literature review. For writing the literature review, generally we need to study the previous research papers or previous research studies. Means in context to our title, in context to our topic of the research, what the previous researchers has researched, whatever they have said about the titles, about the variables we are going to include in our study, that we need to write under the literature review head. So that way, literature review is the essential component of any research study, which is not only limited or which is not only confined to this particular chapter, but it also helps us in writing some other components of any research study. Even for the introduction part also, sometimes we are taking the help of the previous research studies. That way, we are writing the keywords or we are discussing the keywords of our research study. Also, we are identifying our variables of the study. So that way, the literature review part is the very important and essential part of any research paper. It is like a roadmap, it is like a guide which helps us on each and every component part to write down that particular research paper. Then talking about the objectives. After reviewing the previous researches and after on the basis of our experiences on the field of that particular topic, we are generally try to formulate our research objectives. Before research objectives, we can keep one more thing, that is the research questions. Means on the basis of literature review, most of us usually able to find the research gap. Research gap means whatever things are not covered or not being covered by the previous researchers, we are trying to include those things in this particular or in particular research study. So on the basis of research gap, we are generally raising certain questions, and these questions are known as research questions. These research questions become the base for the objectives of our study, and these objectives of our study helps us to formulate the hypothesis. Means whenever we are writing the objectives, with the help of that we can easily find out the variables, and those variables will help us to formulate our hypothesis. Generally, we are writing the hypothesis in the form of difference, relationship, that is in comparison form. We are difference means we are writing in the comparison form, we are writing the hypothesis in the relation form, we are writing the hypothesis in the prediction form also. Say for example, if I say there is no significant difference in the mean height of male and female students, so here I am going to compare the height of male and the female respondents. So this way this kind of hypothesis is known as the comparison type of hypothesis. Then if I say I want to find there is no significant relationship between height and weight of students, so that way here very clear to us, that is we want to find the relationship between the height of the students and the weight of the students. That way it is a kind of relational hypothesis. Then talking about the third hypothesis, that is the prediction kind of hypothesis. So for hypothesis, if I want to find what is the impact of height on the weight of the student, or what is the impact of weight of the height of the students. So generally in that way, whenever I'm interested in finding the impact of one variable on other, that way we can say this is a kind of prediction kind of hypothesis. So on the basis of the objectives, we will decide upon which kind of hypothesis we need to formulate and which type of variables we need to include in any hypothesis. After that, after writing our hypothesis, now we need to write the research methodology part. So research methodology means it is a kind of blueprint which we are writing here, which will guide us for the further stages of the research paper or research study. So in research methodology, generally we are talking about what kind of study we are going to conduct, what is the population of this study, what is the sample size, which sampling technique we are using to collect the data, what type of data analysis tools we are using, and what type of data collection tools we are using for conducting any research study. So generally, these all things generally comes under the research methodology part. After writing or after creating the blueprint using the research methodology, we will move for the data collection tools. So here we need to write about which type of tools we are using, whether the primary data sources we are using or secondary data sources we are using to collect the data. So whenever means we can say there are various type of studies. Some are based on the secondary data, some are based on the primary data, or we can say some of the studies based on the primary and secondary data both. So if we are using the existing sources to collect the data, so in that case we can say that we are using the secondary data sources for collecting the data. When we are using the first-hand sources to collect the data, say for example, if I'm using questionnaire or if I'm conducting any survey, if I'm conducting any interview, so these all are the sources comes under the primary data collection sources. So if I'm using these kind of sources, so that way I can say I'm using primary data sources to collect the data. Generally, our research is a blend of both, but some of the researches are only based on the secondary data. Say for example, if I'm conducting any study, for example, I'm conducting any study for the share market, and in that I want to cover 3 to 4 companies, and I want to compare the share prices of these companies. So for that, what I need to do, I need to collect the data from the NSE or BSE or any particular website which is authentic website. So in that way, I'm using the secondary data sources for collecting the data also. So that way, this So that way, this kind of study is known as the secondary data type study. After collection of our data, we will move further for deciding upon the data analysis tools and techniques. So in tools, we need to see this thing, that which type of tool we are going to use to analyze the data. Say for example, we can go for the Excel, or we can go for the SPSS, or we can go for the, for example, Stata, MATLAB, R, Python, etc. So there are so many tools available. According to our knowledge, according to our comfortable level, we are using the data analysis tools. And then we are deciding the data analysis techniques. So on the basis of the objective and our hypothesis, we will decide upon that which particular technique I need to use to test my hypothesis. And then after doing the analysis, we will go for the interpretation of the data, and then we are writing the findings of the study, and that way we are concluding the study. But after doing our conclusion, we also need to mention the suggestions. This is the very important part of any research paper, because whatever we are doing, if we are not suggesting anything to the stakeholders related to our particular research study or research topic, in that way our study would be incomplete. So we also need to write the suggestions for the whatever finding is. On the basis of the findings, we also need to write the suggestions, and then we need to write the limitations also, because many a time it happens that if particular people are studying or reading our research paper, and if they want to make the base of our study, means on the basis of the R study, they want to write the research paper for their own. So that way they should know this thing, what were the limitations of our study, means what was the sample size which we have used, in which particular region we have conducted the study, for which particular time frame we have conducted the study, which type of sampling technique we have used. So likewise, we need to jot down the limitations of our study. That way it will guide the other pupil whether they can generalize the findings of our study, or our findings of our study are the specific or the narrowed. So that way limitations play the important role in any research paper. And also many a times if we are sending our paper in good journals, so journals are, whenever the journals or the reviewers are reviewing our research papers, so that way they are also looking at the limitations part. Lastly, we need to also jot down the references. This is the very important thing, because whenever we are writing the paper, whatever citations, whatever things we are using to write down that paper, we always need to give credit to those. And also to play safe, to make ourselves free from the plagiarism also, we also need to add the references at the end of our study. So that way, these are the few components which I have discussed. These are the main components which we can say generally can be the part of any research study or any research paper. After that, I think, am I clear on this particular slide? Yes or no? Can anyone confirm me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now moving towards, because we are talking about the SPSS in this particular workshop. So before going for the SPSS, firstly we need to know about the variables. Whenever we are collecting the data, I think it is quite clear to everyone as we are collecting the data for the variables. So for collecting the data or for collecting data for the variables, we need to know which kind of variable we are using to collect the data. So broadly, I can say we can classify variables into two categories: categorical variable and continuous variable, or I can say discrete variable and metric variable. The other name of metric variable is numeric variable also. So whenever we are going to collect the data, we need to know on which type of data we are collecting, or for which variable we are collecting the data. Because further, whenever we are knowing the type of our variable, that way we can decide upon what is the scale we have used to collect the data. Because for the hypothesis testing, it is very important part. You need to know about your variable, you need to know about the scale of your variable. So first variable is the discrete variable or categorical variable. Categorical variable means is, from the name itself we can understand categorical means a variable which we can categorize, is known as categorical variable. If I say discrete variable, so the discrete variable is a variable which can take the whole number. Say for example, if I say the number of participants in this particular workshop. So I think if I can ask this question from the participants, can anyone tell me what would be the answer for this particular question? How many number of participants are there in this particular workshop? Can anyone tell me? Approximate
95.
figure. 95. Thank you, sir. So 95 is a figure which we can say is a discrete type of figure, because it's a complete number. I will not say 95.5 participants are there in this particular workshop, or I will not say there is a 94.5 participants in this workshop. So that way I can say the variable which can take the complete number is known as discrete variable. Now talking about the continuous, from the name itself we can understand continuous means where the continuity is maintained. So any variable or any random variable which can accept the value in a particular range, we can call it as a continuous variable. Say for example, if I ask from any respondent or any particular participant, what is your height? So generally anyone will say me maybe 5 feet 4 inches or 5 feet 8 inches likewise. So that way, when any particular variable taking the value in any particular range, so we can call it as a continuous variable. Similarly, if I'm asking the weight of a participant, so might be possible you can say I'm a 63 kg. My weight is a 63 kg. But maybe possible when I'll go for the precision, it would be maybe 63 point something or 62 point something. So that way I can say weight is a kind of variable which we can describe or which we can put or we can explain in the decimal points also. So that way it is a continuous scale variable. So now after knowing the type of variable, we need to know two more things. You can see here when I have pressed here the arrow from my particular keyboard, you would be able to see 4 more things are added here: nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by these four things? Any one of you have heard previously about these? Nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me, ma'am, what are these?
Yes, ma'am. Nominal scale is like for particular thing, like yellow t-shirt, Dhoni t-shirt, like for particular
Means we can say these are the measurement scales, right, ma'am?
yes, yes,
Yes,
ma'am. And
yes.
ordinal is for we used to rank it,
Okay.
ranking. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so
And-
much, ma'am. Yeah.
yes.
Anything else you want to say? Ma'am, anything else you want to add?
Nominal is like for particular, we are pointing out for particular thing. It's
Yes.
like that.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. So here
Yes.
I have shown you 4 categories of the measurement scale: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. That means whenever I'm talking about categorical variable or discrete variable, so we can use nominal and ordinal scale to measure discrete variable. Similarly, to measure continuous or metric variable, we can use interval and ratio kind of scale. So these are nothing but these are the scales to measure variables. So I think in day-to-day life, if we are going market to buy certain things, so we are knowing the measurement of that particular thing. Say for example, if I'm going in a market to buy a cloth, so what I'll say, I need 1 meter of cloth or something, is it or not? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Yes,
that means
madam.
yes. So that means I'm knowing the measurement unit of that particular thing, whatever I want to buy. Similarly, if I'm going in a market and if I want to buy a Coca-Cola, I need to tell the shopkeeper that I need 500 ml Coke bottle, or I need 1000 ml Coke bottle, or 1 liter Coke bottle. I need it, right? This is the particular measurement unit I need to tell to the person if I want to take any particular thing from the market. Similarly, when I'm talking about social sciences, because in social sciences we have to deal with various kind of variables. It is not like in the social science field only. In the psychological field and in the other fields also, we have to deal with the different kinds of variables. So how we can measure the variable? For the purpose, generally measurement scales have been introduced. So we can say there are 4 kind of scales which we can use to measure any variable, and these scales are known as nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and the ratio scale. So the very first scale is the nominal scale. Nominal scale means it is only used for the identification purpose. Say for example, in my particular questionnaire, I have asked about the, please, these are the 5 brands, or maybe I have asked about from the respondents, please write the name of the brand of mobile you are using. So maybe some will say Samsung, some will say MI, someone say OnePlus, or likewise. So that way means what I'll do, or means what is the meaning of the nominal scale? That means it is only used for the categorization purpose. So after collecting the data of the brand of the mobile from the respondents, they are using, what I can do, or what I can say, that these number of respondents are using the MI mobile. These number of the respondents are using the OnePlus mobile. These number of respondents are using the Samsung mobile. Likewise, that means I have categorized the respondents on the basis of their brand or the mobile of their brand, or according to the mobile they are using. I have classified my respondents on the basis of that. So that way it is a kind of nominal scale in which identification will be there or categorization will be there. Now further, when I'm talking about the ordinal scale, so from the name we can understand ordinal means when there is order available, but the characteristics of each and every scale is it has the characteristics of its previous scale, because this is the sequence in which we are studying the scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So whenever I say ordinal scale, so it will have the characteristics of nominal scale also along with its own characteristics. So the characteristics of nominal scale is the categorization only. So in ordinal scale, categorization will be there, and along with the categorization, there would be order between the categories. Say for example, if I'm collecting the data of height on the basis of tall, medium, and short. So suppose I'm asking a question from the respondents, please mark your height, whether you're a tall person or medium heighted person or a short heighted person. So that way, whenever I'm collecting the data and I'm bifurcating the data, so I would be conclude this thing. These number of people are tall heighted, these are medium heighted, and these are short heighted. And along with that, we can also arrange these categories into the either ascending order or into the descending order. Means tall, medium, and short, or short, medium, and tall. So that way, order is also maintained among the categories of the variable. So this is the example of the ordinal scale. Talking about the next scale, that is the interval scale. In interval scale, the characteristics of the previous scales will be there along with the characteristics of interval. So we can say in interval scale, properties are like categorization, order, and the equal interval will be there in the measurement. Say for example, generally those who have studied the interval scale from the books, they have read one particular example of temperature scale. So in most of the cases, the best example to understand the interval scale is the temperature scale. So I'll explain you interval scale with the help of temperature scale. So when I say there is a temperature scale, and if I ask the question from you, the difference between 20 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius. So the answer would be anyone? Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Similarly, when I ask the question, the difference between 70 degrees Celsius and 80 degrees Celsius. So the answer would be again 10. Yes, thank you so much. So that way, in the temperature scale, you can see this thing, or you can say this thing, equal interval among that particular scale would be there. So that means in interval scale, identification would be there, order would be there, and also the equal difference among the various points would be there of that particular scale. Now, problem is this, generally in interval scale, there is the arbitrary zero will be there. Say for example, if I say 0 degrees Celsius is the temperature, so I think we can feel the temperature, yes or no, at 0 degree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can feel like it's a very cold. We usually say at 0 degree or minus 1 degree or 2 degree something, we can say we are feeling cold. So that way means why we can say interval scale has the arbitrary zero, because we are measuring temperature and still we can feel temperature at the 0 degree Celsius. So that way in interval scale, for the sake of making that scale, the zero was mentioned there. So that way I can say in the interval scale there is an arbitrary zero. Is it clear? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, if I link the interval scale with the social science, so say for example, if I want to measure the perception, or if I want to measure the attitude of a person, so I can I find a person with the zero attitude? I think no, yes or no. Can anyone tell me? Can we find a person with zero attitude?
No, ma'am. No.
Yes, but still maybe we are measuring. I think maybe you have heard about the Likert scale or Likert scale. Some people are saying it. So maybe we are using a 5-point Likert scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 categories. Maybe I am asking some question, and in that I want to get the agreement of the respondents on that particular question or a statement. So maybe I have written strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So if a person is disagree, he will go with disagree kind of thing. Similarly, if he is strongly agree, he will go with the strongly agree kind of thing. But sometimes it happens, sometimes it happens for the some of the question, some respondents feel hesitant and they do not want to give their response. So what they do, they will tick on neutral part. Is it or not? They will go with the third, 3. Is it or not? I think you have experienced this thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So we can say is still the opinion about or agreement for that particular statement will be there in a particular person, but he or she do not want to reveal it. So that way I can say in interval scale there would be arbitrary 0, but we do not have an absolute 0 in the interval scale. Talking about the last scale, ratio scale, this is the very strong scale. In this scale, the features of all the 3 scales will be there, along with one more feature, that is it has the absolute 0. Means ratio scale, if we are measuring any variable on ratio scale, so for that particular variable we can do the categorization of the categories, we can order the categories, there would be the equal difference among the categories, and also there would be a absolute 0. So example of ratio scale is generally we can keep as the height, time, weight, and weight, etc. So these all are the examples of ratio scale. So after identifying of your variables, now you need to understand on what measurement scale you are going to measure your variable, because all these will help us in testing the hypothesis. So I think, am I clear till this slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
thank-
ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now talking about statistics. So why I have kept statistics here? Because whenever we are going for the analysis of the data, so we are talking about the statistics. Most of us generally, I think those who are not much familiar about the statistics, generally they say statistics is the collection of the data, but statistics is more from the collection of the data. Generally, whenever I'm talking about the collection of the data, so we need to discuss, we need to decide upon which source we are using, primary or secondary. I think previously I have discussed this point, so I'm not going into this. After collection of our data, we need to classify our data, whether we have qualitative data or we have quantitative data, because SPSS as the main tool we are using in this workshop is the SPSS. So for SPSS, SPSS is a kind of quantitative data tool or quantitative analysis tool. So for that, we should have the quantitative data. So if we have qualitative data, we need to try to, or we should try to convert it into the quantitative form. If we want to process that data, we want to do the analysis of that data with the help of statistical techniques. So that way, you need to first understand what type of data you have collected. After that, you will go into the summarization of the data. Means whether you have qualitative data or quantitative data, then you will go for the summarization of the data. So in summarizing of the data, various types of statistical techniques we are using. Here you can see I have written the first one, measures of central tendency, then measures of dispersion, and the box plot. This is the graphical way of summarizing your data. These two are the, I think, center of tendency. Can anyone tell me what are the methods of central of tendency?
Mean, median, and mode.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So mean, median, and mode are the methods which we are using under the measures of central tendency. Again, I'll tell you the same thing, that whatever kind of variable we are having, according to the nature of variable, we need to decide upon whether we will go for the mean calculation, median, or mode calculation. So that way, nature of variable you should know. Then talking about measures of dispersion. So under this, what we can keep? Can anyone tell me?
Derivation, mean derivation, ma'am.
Ma'am, will you please repeat? It was not clear.
Standard
Ma'am,
deviation.
standard deviation, mean deviation.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. We can keep standard deviation, mean deviation. Apart from that, there is range, interquartile range, so other quartile, etc. So there are various other techniques available under the measures of dispersion that we can use to summarize our data. Measures of dispersion means how much is the spread in the data, how much variability in the data is available. Because if the variability is high, so that way that type of data is known as the dispersed data, and might be it will not lead to a good results or good outcomes. So you need to know about the dispersion of your data, and then we will decide upon, I think then further we will go for the measures of distribution. Anyone have you heard about measures of distribution?
Ma'am, normal distribution.
Yes, very good. Thank you, ma'am. So measures of distribution, in under this we can keep two things generally, kurtosis and skewness. So to know the distribution of our data, we can generally using skewness and kurtosis. One of the distribution is the normal distributions. So as ma'am said, apart from that, there is so many other kind of distribution, binomial, Poisson, chi, F, etc. So various distributions are available. So again, according to the type of test, say for example, if I'm going for the t-test, so for t-test, the data should be normally distributed. So that means we will go to check the normality of our data. That means we need to check the characteristics of the normal distribution. So that way, we need to use these three things or these three methods to summarize our data. After that, we can go for the presentation of our data. Means we can, whatever data we have collected, that we can tabulate, and also we can draw the various types of graphs. So again, for the graph, we need to know the nature of our variable. If we have the variable on the nominal scale, or we can say on the categorical scale, so for such kind of data, we can go for the pie chart, we can go for the bar graph. But when we have the data of the inter scale or of on the interval scale or on the ratio scale, in that case, we can go for the histogram, we can go for the scatter plot, etc. So according to the nature of the variable, we will again decide which graph is applicable or which graph we should draw for our data. Then we'll go for the analysis of the data. So in analysis of the data, you can see there are two types of tests I have mentioned, parametric and non-parametric. So can any one of you tell me what do you mean by parametric test? Parametric test? Sorry. Can I?
Yes, ma'am. I guess
Ma'am.
parametric test is used for qualitative, quantitative variables, and non-parametric test is used for qualitative variables. Ma'am, you're not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I think someone has muted me. Just a minute. Again, I'm sharing my screen.
Ma'am, examples of parametric test are t-test, f-test, z-test, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Can anyone confirm me? My screen is visible or not?
No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you. So I think one of the ma'am said correctly this thing, that parametric tests generally based are used for the quantitative data and non-parametric tests are used for the qualitative data. Apart from that, we can say parametric tests are those tests which we are using or which are based on the parameters of the data, which are concerned about the normal distribution of the data. Non-parametric tests are those tests which are not bothering about the normal distribution of our data. So if our data is violating the normality parameters or normality conditions, in that case, we can switch from the parametric test to the non-parametric test. So I think, am I clear on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am,
So,
sorry, can you actually repeat it again?
which thing, ma'am?
Parametric and non-parametric.
Okay. So parametric tests are those tests which based on the parameters of the population, which are concerned about the normal distribution of the data. Non-parametric tests are those tests which are not bothering or which do not bother about the normal distribution of our data. So if parametric test rules are violated by any data, in that case, we can switch from parametric test to non-parametric test. Is it clear, ma'am, now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now talking about interpretation of the data. So I think if we have analyzed our data, the only things remaining is whatever outcomes or output we are getting after the analysis, we need to interpret those outputs or results, and that way we can conclude our study. So this is about the importance of statistics in any of the research study. Now, talking about how many types of analysis are available. So generally we can classify analysis into three categories: univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. Univariate, from name itself we can say univariate means where only one variable is available. That way we can go for the univariate analysis. Bivariate analysis means where two variables are available. Multivariate means where more than two variables are available. So say for example, suppose if I have only the data of suppose height, so I can say this is a univariate kind of, or the single variable is available, so I can apply the techniques of univariate analysis. If I have the data of height and weight both, so in that case I can say I can go for the bivariate techniques. And then if I say for example, if I want to see the sales of any particular brand, and I want to know this thing, that the sales of this brand is affected by which thing, whether the advertisement is playing the important role or some other things are playing the important role, that I need to find out. And that way I can say I'm considering more than two variables for my study. So that is known as the multivariate analysis, and that way I need to decide upon which technique I'll use. So in univariate category, I can keep descriptive analysis and one sample t-test I can keep, and one more thing I can keep here, the chi-square one sample. Again I am repeating, under the univariate analysis we can keep descriptive analysis, and we can keep one sample t-test and one sample chi-test. These three things generally we can keep under the univariate analysis. Talking about bivariate analysis, so in bivariate analysis we can keep the independent samples t-test, dependent samples t-test, correlation, regression, simple regression we can keep under the bivariate technique category. Multivariate technique
Ma'am,
category.
just a minute. Ma'am, you can be a bit slower, like we can write it.
Okay, no issue. I was not knowing this thing. Sorry. So from
Yes,
where I
ma'am.
need to start?
Bivariate, ma'am, bivariate.
Okay. So
From
under
univariate, ma'am. Univariate.
okay, again I'm repeating. So I'll request from each of you, if you feel like I am a bit fast, so you can interrupt me in between. Okay. So I'm starting with the univariate again. Under univariate, we can keep descriptive analysis or descriptive statistic. First thing, descriptive statistics we can keep under univariate. Second, we can keep one sample t-test. Third, we can keep one sample chi-square test. Then again I'm repeating, descriptive statistics, one sample t-test and one sample chi-square test. Is it done?
Yes.
So I think, may I move for the second category now, bivariate?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. So in bivariate, we can keep independent samples t-test, then dependent samples t-test, then correlation, and then simple regression. Do I need to repeat it again? Independent samples t-test, dependent samples t-test, simple correlation, and simple regression. Done?
Yes, ma'am, you can move further.
Okay. In multivariate analysis, we can keep multiple regression, then factor analysis, then cluster analysis,
What was the second one?
factor analysis, multiple regression, second factor analysis, then cluster analysis, then discriminant analysis, then MANOVA, two-way ANOVA. Do I need to repeat it again? Multiple
No.
regression, factor analysis, cluster analysis, MANOVA, discriminant analysis, two-way ANOVA, etc., we can keep under the multivariate category. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Apart from this, I think whatever test or tool till now I have told you, most of them were the parametric test, only except the one sample chi-square test. Remaining all are the parametric tests. Okay, done?
Ma'am, you said MANOVA or ANOVA.
In multivariate, I said MANOVA, MANOVA.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So is it done? From this slide, I think we are through. We can go for the next now. Can I move?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So here now I'm coming to the main part of the session, that is SPSS. So I think each one of us generally know, I can say this thing, every one of this particular workshop or every participant of this workshop know about the full form of SPSS. It is a statistical package for social sciences. So from the name of the SPSS you can see, or the full form of the name of the SPSS you can see, social sciences is involved there. That means whatever variables we are dealing in the social sciences, generally we can analyze those variables in the SPSS using various statistical techniques. So when this particular software was launched, so in the year 1968, it was launched by the SPSS Incorporation. But after some time, it has been taken care by or acquired by the IBM in the year 2009. So now I can say it is a baby of IBM. And I think recently we have 26 or 27 version of SPSS available. Although it is a costly type of software, if you want to work with this software, you need to buy this software, or you need to associate with some particular organization which are using this particular software. So from them you can take this particular SPSS software, or else you can do one more thing. There is a trial version of SPSS available for a month, so that you can download for the practice purpose. So
Ma'am,
now,
and cracked version is available, that we can use cracked version
if
of
it is
SPSS.
available with you, ma'am, that you can use, no issues in that.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, during the use of crack version, can we on the internet or drop it?
Sir, is it not clear to me? Will you please repeat?
Ma'am, when we are using the crack version, should we on the internet or not?
We want, is it not, second half is not clear of the question.
The crack version, when we are using the crack version, it is not
I think I am only able to understand when we are using the correct version of SPSS, but I am not able to understand. Can anyone tell me what he wants to ask me? I think there is some problem or glitch of the network at his end, so I'm unable to listen the question completely. Can anyone repeat if you people are able to understand?
We are also unable to understand. I'm sir, you can type the question in the chat box, sir, so that it will be clear.
So I think
Hello?
Hello,
ma'am.
yes,
Hello?
yes, sir.
Actually, I don't have any. We don't have any crack version, ma'am. Can you please provide us the link for downloading?
So I think in that case, we can take the help of her ma'am who was asking the question. If she has available that correct version, she can share with all of us. Ma'am, do you have that version?
Actually,
Yes, one of my colleagues have it. I'll ask and surely I'll share it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I think, sir, you got the answer of your question now.
Yeah.
She'll
Okay,
help you
ma'am.
out. So I'll suggest from the participants, those who are having the correct version, so please share that version in the WhatsApp group so that each and everyone can make use of this particular workshop. So this is my request. I think we need to help each other. That way we can grow. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And I have not been able to join in WhatsApp group, ma'am. I have sent this query and they have not joined me. Please help me, ma'am, in this.
Actually, I'm also not in that particular
Ma'am.
group.
Ma'am, we'll do it, ma'am.
Okay. So I think,
Okay,
ma'am,
ma'am.
at the end of the session, we'll request from the Ajay sir, you can tell your name and you can give the contact number. At the end, sir will add you in our group. Okay, ma'am?
Yes,
I'm not also joined, madam, in WhatsApp
So,
group.
so we'll do one thing, ma'am. At the end of the session, you all can share the contact details in the chat box along with your names.
Okay.
So that way Ajay will add you in the WhatsApp group. Is it okay?
Okay, madam.
Okay. So now I'm talking about the processes in SPSS. That means what type of things we can perform in SPSS. So you can see here we can perform 4 things: checking of the data, making changes in the data, recording of the data, and the analysis of the data. Talking about the checking of the data. So there are 2 things available in SPSS. First one is by using the running frequency distribution with the help of analyze menu, we can check the data, because the frequency distribution is one thing which will tell each and everything or each and every value of particular data. So whether something is missing or not in a data, that also we can identify, we can find out with the help of frequency distribution. Then we can do the second exercise. Either means if we do not want to go for the frequency distribution, we can go for the sorting of the cases. So we can arrange the data, sort the data, and that way also we can check our data. So these are the 2 processes available in SPSS that will help us to check our data. Then making the changes in the data. How we can make changes in our data? So we need to understand the data entry error. Sometimes it happens. I think in current time we can say this type of error is not coming much, because generally what we do, we are collecting the data through the Google form. And whenever we are collecting the data through the Google form, we are able to get the Excel sheet from there. So data entry error generally we are omitted because of the Google form type of things. But might be possible still some people collect data using some manual sources. That means maybe possible they are going for the interview, or they are collecting the data through the hard copy of the questionnaire. And whenever we are doing this exercise, so we have to enter our data in SPSS or in Excel or in some other source. So that way might be possible we can have some problem in hurry. Maybe we have not entered some correct data. So that you need to be very much particular about that. You can check your data. Means after entering your data, if you want to make changes after checking your data, those changes you can make manually in the SPSS. Second is the interpretation error. Interpretation error means, for example, we have asked one question from the respondent, and maybe that question is which kind of means that statement which we are asking or which we want to take the opinion about from the respondents. So that particular question has the double meaning. Maybe we have written it in some other way, and other people are, or the respondents are taking in that particular question in some other way. So maybe possible they have interpreted the question wrongly. So accordingly, they have not given us the proper response. So whenever we are making whenever we are going through the data, whatever we have collected, after entering that data, we can see that thing, that whether the respondents have understood that particular data question correctly or not. So in that case, firstly, what you need to do, you need to request the respondents to make the correction in your particular response, and that way you need to make changes in SPSS. So for this, generally suggestive is what? Whenever we collect data, we should go for the hard copy type of things, because in that way we meet the respondents, we can explain the question to them, we can explain the purpose to them, and that way possibility of getting the correct responses increases. This is the second thing. Third thing, misunderstood by the respondent. Maybe again similar thing, we have written we have written the thing correctly, maybe the persons are not understanding it in a proper manner or proper fashion. So interpretation means the maybe we have used the technical word and the respondents are not knowing the meaning of that particular technical word. So that way they have given their answer. Misunderstood means we have written the question or the statement in some other way and the person are taking in some other way. So in both the cases, the suggestive thing is we need to firstly explain the things to the respondents, and then we need to collect the data. And that way, if we are not getting the correct data, again we need to meet the respondents, and then that way we need to collect their responses, and that way we need to make changes in the coding or whatever data we have taken. That way we need to make changes in that data. After that, we need to go for the recoding or the recoding of the data. Making changes means we are collecting the data and we are entering the coding of the data in the Excel or in the SPSS. Recoding means for the purpose if we want to change whatever coding we have made, I'll show you in the SPSS this thing, that if we want to recode the data, that also we can do using the transform menu available in the SPSS. So it is depending upon what is the purpose of our study, and for some particular what I can say purposes, I want to convert the coding into some other coding, that also we can do in SPSS. And lastly, the analysis part. So for analysis part, there is an analyze menu available in SPSS. With the help of that, whatever types of tools we want to apply, whatever types of tools available in SPSS, that we can use here with the help of analyze menu. Then talking about the views of SPSS. So I think those who have seen SPSS, they are knowing the look of the SPSS is more like the Excel. Yes or no? Those who have seen SPSS?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So the look of so the look of SPSS is more and less like the Excel. Differences in Excel, we can add on so many worksheets, but here in SPSS we will have only 2 worksheets available. The first one is known as data view, second one is known as variable view. I am showing you presently here, you can see this is the variable view, means where we will create our variables. Data view means after creating your variables, you can see them here in the data view as a heading of the columns. And here we can enter our data, we can import our data in the data view. Here you can see analyze menu will also be available here. Even in the variable view also you can see the analyze menu. Means it is irrespective of the view, from anywhere we can apply the analysis on the data. And the third view, this is the I think second last slide of the presentation. So you can see this is the output window of the SPSS. Means whatever types of statistical tool we are performing on the data, SPSS will show the output in the some different window, and this window is known as the output window. So I think this is all from the my side as a theoretical part, conceptual part. I think, am I clear on this? May I move for the SPSS now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So I have opened a fresh file here. I hope everyone would be able to see the fresh SPSS file here. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now you can see here, this is the look of SPSS. I am rotating my mouse at the lower left corner, and here you can see data view is visible where I'm rotating my mouse. Is it visible to everyone? Data view?
Yes, ma'am.
So presently data view window is opened here or active here. So that's why the color of this button is yellow kind of. When I'll switch from data view to variable view, means when I'm clicking on the variable view button, you would be able to see here the variable view. I hope the second view is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So now from here, we will discuss about how we can define variables in SPSS. So firstly, suppose I'm writing the name of my first variable, gender. So you can see I have typed here gender. I think everyone would be able to see the typing.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Yes.
visible.
Now when I'll click tab button from my keyboard, you will see the changes in this particular window. I think you would be able to notice this thing when I have entered the name of my variable, and when I switch from this particular cell to the next cell, what SPSS has done, it has entered the various values in the different columns. These are the by default values defined by the SPSS for this particular variable. Is it clear? First column is clear, the name column.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the name column, what I did, I have given the name of my variable which I want to create in SPSS. So I have written here gender. I want to show you some things here. Suppose I want to write here one gender. So see what I did. I have written one, and after that I have typed the name of my variable gender. Now I am switching from this cell to the next cell. You would be able to see SPSS is throwing one warning message to me. It is showing me variable name contains an illegal first character. So the learning from this is what? That means we cannot start the name of our variable with any number. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, say for example, I have written here dollar gender. Again, you can see I am getting the invalid variable name. So that means I cannot start the name of my variable with the help of special characters also. If I want to include, maybe I have two variables with the same name. If I want to mix the difference in the name of those variables, I want to use number there. So I can use the numbers at the end or in between of the name of the variable. So see, when I have written here gender 1 and I'm switching from this cell to the next cell, you can see no error I am getting. No message came or throw by the SPSS. Is it clear?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Similarly, if I want to add any special character, that I can add at the end of the name of the variable. Now, if I want to write gender of suppose student, again you can see I have written here gender of the student, gender of student. Now I am shifting from this cell to the next cell by pressing tab from the keyboard. So you can see again it is coming variable name contains an illegal character. So what do you mean? That means if I want to write more than 2 words to define the name of my variable, either I need to use underscore. Now you can see I'm not getting any error, or I can keep the period sign here, that is dot. I'm not getting any error. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So these are the some mistakes generally are not allowed by SPSS. So here I have written the name of my variable as gender. Now I'm moving towards to the next column, that is the type column. Here I need to define the type of my variable. That means on which scale or what is the type, means how I am going to enter the data for my type gender variable. So I think generally when we ask question from the respondents, generally what we ask about the gender, male or female, right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So male and female, or the data of male and female is a qualitative type of data, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what we can do, but you can see whenever I say gender, in gender, I can say there are two categories, male category and female category. So it should be a numeric or a string kind of variable. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, string or numeric?
It can be both.
String,
It can
but
be both. Or I think I told this thing when I was discussing the conceptual part. Is SPSS is what? It is a quantitative type of software. Means it can mostly deal with the numbers. So generally, I think you have heard about coding of the data, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Right. Say for example, I have collected the data for gender. I have collected the data of suppose male, female, male, female, female, female. Likewise. So what I need to do, I need to write in SPSS. Suppose I have written male is 1, female is 2, male is 1, female 2, 2, and 2. This is what? This is the coding of the data. Right?
Madam,
Right?
Yes,
Haji,
ma'am.
sir.
can I use the madam? Can I use the 0 and 1?
No issues, sir. This is the nominal scale variable and we are using these number only for the identification purpose. So whether it is 0 or 1 or 1 or 2, no matters.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Yes. So that means there is no meaning of 1 and 2. We are only using these numbers for the identification purpose. This is a categorical variable. So I'll say 1 stands for male, 2 stands for female. If you are using 0 and 1, so maybe you are using 0 for male. So you can say 0 is indicating that this particular respondent is the male respondent and 1 is indicating this particular respondent is the female respondent. Is it clear, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yes. I'm coming back to my, yes. So that way, when I am doing the coding of my data, that means I am converting those qualitative categories into the number form. So I think numeric is the correct type, right?
Absolutely right, madam.
Yes. So that way I have kept here, but I'll show you there are some other categories also. So when you will click here, you would be able to see there would be a box. Just a minute. There would be a box with the 3 dots. You need to click on this box and it will show you, it will lend you to the variable type of box. So here you can see. So here you can see various types of variable available: numeric, comma, dot, scientific notation, date, dollar, custom currency, string, restricted, numeric. Being a social science person, generally we have to deal with the numeric and the string kind of data. So by default in SPSS, whatever variable we define, SPSS gives its type as numeric. If you want to make changes in the type of your variable, you can use these types, whatever type you want to use or whatever way you want to define your variable in SPSS. So type you can select from here. Here you can see the next column. Just a minute. Next column is the width column. In this particular box, you can also see the width available here. So if you want to make any changes here, you can click here. The cursor will blink here. If you want to make any changes in this width, you can make changes in the width by deleting this 8 and you can enter the value from your keyboard. Similarly, decimal places, if you want to define here, so you can increase it, decrease it, you can make it 0 also, depending upon your choice that you can do. So you can see here when I am coming back to the same window, that is the variable window. So here you can see in the width, when I have clicked here in this particular cell, you would be able to see the arrows here. So from these arrows, we can increase or decrease the width. By default, width of the particular data is variable is 8. Now talking towards moving towards to the next column, that is the decimals. So if I want to make it 0, I can make it 0. If I want to increase the decimals, so say for example, if I'm collecting the data of the weight in kg or something, so that way the role of decimal points can be there. In case of gender, when I'm defining the categories in the 1 and 2 form or 0 and 1 form, I think there is no role of decimal. So that way I have made it as a 0. Now moving towards to the label. So as you can see, when I was defining the name of my variable, so what if I want to use, say for example, the gender of a student. So what I have to do, I need to keep either the underscore between the 2 words, or either I need to keep a period sign between the 2 words if I want to define the define my variable name so precisely. But in SPSS, one more column was given by the IBM, that is the label column. Here you can see if I elaborately describe my want to describe my variable, that I can do under the label column. So say for example, if I want to write here gender of the student, that I can write, or gender of the respondent, that I can write. So when I'll switch from this particular cell to the next cell, you can see no error I am getting, because under the label everything is allowed. If I want to use number, if I want to keep the special character, I want to keep the gap between the 2 words, etc., everything is allowed under the label. And suggestive from my side is that whenever you are creating any SPSS file, always use this label column. Always try to define your variable, because many a time it happens we are using same file to write 2 or 3 papers. Might be possible it happens we are collecting the data once and we are using the same data for writing 2 or 3 research papers. And it is quite clear, it is quite understood that in writing the 2 research papers, there would be certain gap. So in that gap, might be possible, being a human, it is quite possible for us that we forgot the thing about the particular variable. So that particular label column will help you out in future to understand your variable or whatever is that particular variable is. So better, whatever variable you are taking or giving the name, always use this label column to define it in a descriptive manner. Next, moving towards to the values column. I think till here, am I clear to each and every one, or any query?
No, madam.
We are
Clear,
clear,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now moving towards to the values column. So here in this column, you can see when I'm clicking on the none, you can see 3 dots are coming here. I'm clicking on this. So the box is coming as value labels box. So in this dialog box, you can see the first box is the value box and second box is the label box. So say for example, as my gender variable is a numeric variable, and suppose I am taking the values of, suppose the sir said 0 and 1. So suppose I have written here, I have given 0 for male. So in the value I have written 0. Here you need to write the number, and in the label you need to write the category of that particular number. So 0 category I have given to the male persons. Then I am clicking here on the add. Second is the, suppose I am giving second category is the female in the data. So I have written here 1 for female. Now I am adding it. So only 2 categories were there for the gender variable. So I have added both the categories, male and female. Now I'm clicking on OK. So once I click on OK, you would be able to see the values and labels were created for the categories of gender variable. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So again, I'm clicking on this. I'll show you one more thing. Here you can see when I am clicking on this male, when I have clicked on this, you can see the value and label would be shown here. And one more thing, remove is coming, or the remove button is activated. So say for example, if I want to remove this particular category, that I can do. Similarly, if I want to remove the female category, that also I can do. If I want to make changes, say for example, I want to define now female as 2. So you can see when I did this, 2 things are coming. One is add, second is change. If I want to add this thing, so that way in the after this 1 female, 2 female will also be created. But I want to change the existing category. So that way you can see the change has been incorporated by SPSS. Now I am clicking on this. Here I am writing suppose 1. I am clicking on change. So the changes have been incorporated by SPSS. Now I am clicking on OK. So that way, whatever labels you have created, whatever values you have given to your categories, if you want to make changes in them, that also you can do. So I think, am I clear on values column?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now the very important column is the missing column. Maybe you have heard about there are 2 types of missing values, system defined missing values, and second one is the user defined missing values. So here this column is used for the user defined missing values. Now what do you mean by that? So for that, firstly I'm coming here. Firstly I'm creating one more variable. Suppose age variable I have created. Now I'm coming to the data view. I have clicked on the button of data view. Now you can see, suppose I have entered the data here. Now you can see when I have entered the data in the gender column. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can see in the age column, there are small periods, small dots are coming. Everyone would be able to see or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So now, for example, I am entering data for this column also. Now I have entered the data for my age variable also, but I have left 2 things or 2 cells I have left without any value. You can see 2 dots still are present there. So these are what? These are the system defined missing values. Means some of the respondents have not given us the responses for the age variable, and I have not entered that data. So these are the system defined missing values. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm moving again for the variable view and coming to this missing value column. So here in missing value column, you can see when
Hello,
I'm.
ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Madam, in the third column, the width is at. It is by default at setting.
It's by default at 8, sir. If you want to increase it, that you can do. If you want to decrease it, that you can do.
It will not affect on the data analysis work, or it is?
No, nothing. No effect would be there.
Okay.
Yes. Now coming to the missing values, I think, may I proceed, right, sir?
Yes.
Now I'm coming to the missing value column. So here you can see none is there for both the variables. When I am clicking on this particular box will come with none, where you would be able to see 3 dots. I'm clicking on this. Now missing dialog box has opened by SPSS. I think everyone would be able to see it. Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So by default, you can see the by default option is no missing values. Means here the user has not defined any missing values. This is the assumption of SPSS. So it will go with the by default setting. But being a user, if suppose I want to remove the male category, because this is for the gender variable I have clicked here, right? So say for example, for any particular hypothesis, I want to include only the females data. So in that case, I can use this discrete missing values. I hope everyone can able to see this. I have clicked on the discrete missing values.
Ma'am, once again, can you see why we use this discrete missing value?
Ma'am, these are the user-defined missing values. Say, for example, for any hypothesis, my hypothesis is only based on the females. I have made my hypothesis for the females, but I have collected the data from the male and female both, right? So for testing that hypothesis, it is quite clear if my hypothesis is for the females only, so that means I need to have the data of female, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But in the present sheet, suppose I have a data of male and female both. So that way, what I need to do? I need to remove the data of the male category. So that I can do using this missing values column. Done, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here I have clicked on the discrete missing values. So once I will click on this, you would be able to see all the boxes are activated. So here you can keep up to three missing values you can keep here, which you want to remove from your data. But I think in the gender, there are only 2 categories. One is male and second, 2 is female. So suppose I do not want to include male category here. So what I need to do, I need to only type here 1 in the first box. Done. And when I'll press OK, you can see it is written discrete missing values 1. Although the data would be present in the sheet, but when we will go for the calculation purpose using the gender variable, only the data of female will be considered by SPSS. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
yeah. Now I'm clicking again on the same box. First, here I have told you this is the discrete missing value phase. Now I am going for the next. Here you can see it is giving me range plus 1 optional discrete missing value. So if I want to give the range, so say for example, now I'm going for suppose age. So for particular purpose, say for example, I do not want to include the data of the age of higher age people. So for example, from 45 to 50. If I have data available from the 45 to 50, so for the purpose, or I can say from 50 to 60, because I said old people. So suppose I do not want to include old people for the analysis purpose. So I can use the range plus 1 optional discrete value box. And here I can give the low and high, or the lower limit and the higher limit, means from this category to this category, whosoever is the respondents, I do not want to include them in my study. And I can press here OK. Done. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. So that way, this is the role of the missing value in the variable view. Now talking towards to the column. So column you can see by default is 8. Again, the second column is by default 8. So the value for the column is by default 8 by the SPSS. Now if I want to see the changes here, you can see I'm coming here or coming back to the data view. And what I did, I have scratched it. So you can see the changes in the column. You can see here in the age column. Now the column, previously it was the value of the column was 8 for the gender, and for age also it was the 8, but now it is now 17 for the age. Got it?
Yes,
Clear?
ma'am. Yes.
Now I think alignment, we all are aware about the alignment of the data. So by default alignment is right from the SPSS side. If you want to make any changes, you can select if you want to left align your data, right align your data, or center align your data. It is totally for the beautification purpose we are doing. Important one is the measurement column. Here you need to define on what scale you have measured your variable. So say
And
for
one like for this column, age wise 17, ma'am.
because I have, you can see here in the data I have scratched it.
Okay.
Got it? So it is
Yes.
depending upon how much you are stretching it. If you are stretching it, the size will change accordingly.
Okay.
Okay,
ma'am.
that is
Yeah, even if suppose I am doing here, you can see using these arrows. So that way also you can see the change. Got it?
Okay.
Yes. Now in the measurement, you need to tell in this particular column on which scale you are going to measure your variable. So here, for example, I have a gender variable. So I have written this is a nominal scale variable. Age is a scale variable. Likewise. So that way you need to know on which scale you have measured your variable, and that way you can define the scale of your variable. Last column is the roll column. By default value is input, so you do not need to touch this column. Whatever is the by default value, we will go with that. So this way we will defining our variable in the SPSS under the variable view. Once we will define our variable, we would be see each and everything here in the data view. So you can see when I'm coming here and I'm keeping my mouse on the gender, it will show you the name of my variable, it will show the level of my variable, and it will also tell me the type and the measurement scale of my variable. Is it clear?
yeah clear.
To everyone, may I move further now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have came back to the variable view. Here I want to show you something because I told you I'll tell you the recording part. Can anyone tell me the types of tea? Plain, lemon, or what we can keep?
Masala tea,
Green tea, yes.
green tea, masala tea.
Masala tea. Okay, thank you. So you have seen what I did. I have created one more variable here named as t variable, and I have defined 4 values for my t variable as plain, lemon, green, and masala tea. I think this is a kind of nominal scale variable. Now I'm coming back to the data view. I'm entering certain data here to show you how we can do the recoding. Done? Is it visible? I have entered certain values here to give you the demo.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, if I want to do recording of this data, how can I do that? So for that, you need to go to the transform menu. And in that, I think you would be able to see there are 2 options starting from recode. First one is recode into same variables. Second is recode into different variables. Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So firstly, we will understand the meaning and then I'll tell you which one I'm going to select here. So read into same variables. Meaning is if I go for the recording of the variable and I'm using this option. So that way, whatever changes I'll make in the recording process, all the changes will be reflected on the same variable. Second, talking about the recode into different variables. So if I'm using this particular option and I'm going to make any changes using this particular option in my existing variables, so all the changes will be shown by SPSS in the next column. Means one new variable will be created, and in that variable all the changes will be taken care by the SPSS. That means in that case your existing variable will be there, and apart from that one new variable will be created with some new recordings. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So suggestive one is I think I'll suggest this thing. You should go with the record into different variables. So if you want to use your existing variable, that also you can do, and along with that you can create some new variable also. So here I'm going with the record into different variables. So I'm clicking on this. So I hope you would be able to see record into different variables dialog box is coming in front of us. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now, as I said, I'm interested in P variable. So I'm clicking on this. So it is selected. Now what I need to do, I need to only shift this variable using this arrow into the input variable to output variable. Is it done? Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So suppose I want to give, here I need to give the name to my new recorded variable. So I am giving, suppose, name as P1. If I want to give some label also, that I can add here. So here I'm not writing anything. I'm only clicking on change here. So you can see once I clicked on change, it is showing me now new variable will be created from T to T1. Done? Is it clear to everyone? May I move further?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Okay, so now you can see there is old and new values button is there at the end of this box. So we need to click on this. So I am clicking on this. Once I'll click on this, you would be able to see one more dialog box. So here you can see value is highlighted, or this is the by default option by the SPSS, and we are interested in this. So here suppose I am writing 1. In the value I have written 1. And in the new value also I have written 1. Means whatever is the coding of 1, I want to give the same coding to the first category as 1. And I am clicking on add. So 1 would be converted to 1 only. I think second was I have written green, na? Lemon and green. Fourth one was the masala. So I have used here 4 and I am writing here 1. I am pressing add. Now I am writing 2. Again writing 2, adding this, writing 3, writing 2, adding this. So that way you can see from the 4 categories. Now I want to create one more variable. In that there would be only 2 categories. I have clubbed first and fourth category as first category, and I have clubbed second and third category as the second category in the new variable. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
To everyone, may I press and continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I am pressing on continue, and then I do not need to do anything. I can only click on OK. So once I'll click on OK, I'll get a message from SPSS. You can see it is giving me that record T 1 equals 1, 4 equals 1, 2 equals 2, and 3 equals to 3 into T1. So this particular changes had been taken care by SPSS. And now I'm coming back to my same sheet. Here you can see in the data view one more variable has been created by SPSS, and you can see 1 is 1, 2 is 2, but 3 is again 2, and 4 is 1. Clear? Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yeah. Now I'm coming back to the variable view. Here firstly I'm setting this decimal point as 0, and I'm doing one more thing. I'm coming to the values, and here I'm defining suppose 1. 1 as suppose not healthy or unhealthy. May I write unhealthy? And 2 as Suppose healthy tea and okay. So is it clear? Meaning of this is what? I have kept the plain tea and the which tea? Masala tea as unhealthy tea, and I have kept his green tea and lemon tea as a healthy tea. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So that way, this process is known as recording of the data. So I think this is all from my side for the day. From tomorrow onwards, we are starting with the normality, reliability, and then we will go in some statistical tool day-wise. I think the plan with all of you. You are knowing what is the sessions which I am going to take for the upcoming 6 days, because today I have covered the basics of SPSS. So now the queries are welcome. If you want to ask me any of the things regarding whatever I discussed, you can ask me.
Yes, ma'am, I have query. Like after collecting the data, like primary data we have collected in Google Form. Now that data we have to put in SPSS, right? And then we have to do data analysis thing. So,
Yes.
ma'am, it like if it would be better, like if you can show some like that demo, like some of the collected data, and then you are interpreting it instead of doing like if
Shilpa
you
ma'am,
have.
I think it was the first day, and as per the agenda, I think as per the day, you are knowing this thing today. I have to discuss about the basics of SPSS, so that I did. From tomorrow onwards, I'll provide you some data on that. I'll work, and along with me, you also need to work.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so ma'am, from tomorrow we should have SPSS version with ourselves, right?
That I think the ma'am who was asking me question, and she said she'll share. So we
Yes,
need to
yes.
ask her.
I am only that, ma'am.
Acha,
I am
Shilpa
like
ma'am
that.
is Shilpa.
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
I was on the different screen, so I was not knowing who was talking to me at that time. Okay,
Okay, no
Shilpa ma'am will
problem.
share. Shilpa ma'am will share with all of us the crack version of the SPSS, right, ma'am?
Yes, yes, but it is in very much high data that must be needed, na ma'am. So it must be shared through pen drive or like it can't be shared in WhatsApp, I
Or you
think.
can do one thing. Ajay sir, are you here in the meeting?
Ma'am, I have got a, sorry to interrupt in between.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I have got it on my Google Drive, so I can share link. But
that
see,
I want. That I want. Someone can share through mail or something.
so I
So
can
I
do
think,
that.
Jaki
But
sir, you can do one thing. You can share that particular crack version with Ajay sir, and Ajay sir will have
yeah,
the email IDs of all.
sure, I'll do that. But ma'am, please keeping it in the mind that we are doing a legal activity. That's
Yeah. That, even
we
you
are
are
live
very
on
correct,
YouTube.
sir.
We are
You
live
are,
on YouTube as well, so we shouldn't be discussing this more. So we
yeah.
can connect on on
WhatsApp group, we
WhatsApp.
will talk about all these things, right, sir? Yeah. Thank you, Jaki sir, and thank you, Shilpa ma'am, both. Anything
Yes,
else?
yes. No.
No,
Please tell Sir Ajay sir to add us in the WhatsApp group as well, ma'am.
Yeah. Ajay sir, are you here in the meeting, or anyone from RFI?
Madam, my
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ajay sir is here. Yashwant sir, you want to ask me something?
no, first the respected sir has come to. I think the sir give welcome to ma'am. Sir asked a question, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I think some of the participants are not added in WhatsApp group, so they are requesting us to add in the group. So
Okay.
I have suggested they need to drop their contact details here in the chat, right?
Ma'am, chat box is unable, ma'am. It is disabled.
Okay. So Ajay sir, please
Okay.
help them.
Okay, ma'am. You can write, if possible, you can write down my mobile number and send me text message. Send me WhatsApp message with number. Okay? It is okay?
Share your mobile
Yes,
number
sir.
with us, please.
Yes, sir. Share your
Sir,
mobile
please.
number.
So please share your mobile.
I think sir
Ma'am,
has
I
shared the
have a
mobile.
question.
Yes, Renuga.
Yes.
Ma'am, this data view and variable view, whatever worksheets you have shown on SPSS, do we have to enter the data manually, ma'am, in those sheets?
No, I'll provide you the Excel sheet, or I'll provide you the SPSS sheet, ma'am. So I'll tell
Okay.
you firstly, tomorrow I'll tell you how to enter or import the data in SPSS, and then whatever is the topic of the day, then I'll carry forward with that.
Chanchala ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, in text box already shared WhatsApp group guide link.
Yes. So I request everyone, there is a WhatsApp link. WhatsApp group link is available in the chat box. Sir has already shared this. So if those who are not there in the WhatsApp group, they can join with this particular chat box link.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Kiran ma'am, you're audible.
Ma'am, can you please give a knowledge about the how to convert the data into the Excel sheet from the questionnaire?
Coding part?
Yep.
You are asking me?
Yes.
So ma'am, for that you have some questionnaire or something, you have data available with you or something?
I haven't right now, but I will provide you.
So you can do one thing, you can share that on that particular data. I'll explain how you can go for the recording or decoding of the data. Is it, ma'am? Is it okay? Fine? Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So anything else anyone wants to ask me apart from whatever questions have been asked by the participants? Anything else?
Ajay sir, I think that link is not working, sir. I'll just drop my number on your WhatsApp number. Please add me, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. But once you more.
Ma'am, is it working properly?
Yes,
Shilpa
ma'am,
ma'am,
the
it's
link is
working.
working.
Yes.
I think
Please try.
some of
Please try again.
some of the respondents have joined from that particular
No, please
link.
try again.
Yes, Shilpa ma'am, please try one more time.
Okay, ma'am.
So Ajay Singh, I think this is all from my side for the day. I think no one is asking any query. So I think we can stop the
Yes,
session
ma'am.
for the day. Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Dr. Chanchala Jain, ma'am.
I
Really,
think ma'am, Renuka ma'am, I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
Shashidhar wants to ask me something.
Ma'am, what is this
Okay, sir,
system
you can
defined
ask.
missing? What is the system defined missing value, ma'am?
System defined missing value means the data which we do not have, that is missing values. Say for example, I have asked one question and only from the 100 respondent, 10 have not responded the question. So that way I can say 10 are the system defined missing value when I'll enter the data in the SPSS.
We have to give any specific coding for that, ma'am, or
Depending upon depending upon the nature of our variable, if you want to keep the mean value in that data, that you can do. If you want to keep median value, that you can do, depending upon you. If you want to do some, say for example, we are using the Likert scale. So in Likert scale, the mean value is 3. So in that case, all the system defined missing value you can replace by 3. So up to you.
Okay.
Madam, my question is
Thank you,
that,
ma'am.
Yes.
my question is that how the data are correlated with the whether it is I'm unable to find it whether it is from Likert scale or types of measurement. So I cannot decide that whether which category is from whether it is a Likert scale or whether we have to apply on which kind of test. But the measurement of a scale, I'm asking to you that what the measurement of a scale. My question is that.
Okay, sir, I think I have discussed these things. What type of measurement scale, what type of measurement scales are? There are 4 scales: nominal, ordinal, ratio scale, and interval scale. So you need to know, say for example, if I'm collecting the data of the gender. So gender is a nominal scale variable because I can only categorize the categories of gender. I can say these are the male respondents and these are the female respondents, right? So only categorization is possible. I cannot compare these categories. I cannot say the male category is more than to the female category or female category is the more than to the male category. So that way I can say this is a nominal scale variable. I think I have given one example when I was discussing about the ordinal scale. So ordinal scale meaning is when you are able to maintain some order in the categories. So that way you can say ordinal scale variable. Interval and ratio are the important scales in SPSS also. You can see when I have shown you the measure, I think just a minute. So I'll show you once again. Wait a minute. I think my window is visible or not, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can see when I'm coming under this measure column, there are only 3 categories available: nominal, ordinal, and scale. That means SPSS, in SPSS, rather than 4, there are only 3 categories. So what is the meaning of scale? If the variable is of the interval scale or of the ratio scale, it has only 1 category available in SPSS. So for both the variable or for the both the measurement scale variable, we are defining that variable as a scale variable. So now, if I'm talking about Likert scale, so I think you are knowing Likert scale generally are of the 5-point Likert scale, 7-point, 9-point, or 11-point. Likewise, depending upon how much differentiation we can do among the various categories, right? So generally, interval scale or the interval scale, we are Likert scale generally we are keeping as an interval scale.
So,
And in yes,
ma'am,
sir.
it means we can say that if I want to say that the tea is after the drinking tea that I got satisfied or maybe not satisfied. So that is the Likert scale: satisfied, not satisfied, or highly satisfied, strongly agree, disagree. Such kind of things
scale.
are coming in a Likert scale category.
Yeah, it's a kind of Likert scale, sir.
Yeah, okay,
okay, sir. Anything else?
No,
sir?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think Ranika ma'am, anything else?
I guess no, ma'am. There are no questions.
So I think we can wind up, right, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chanchala Jain, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session. We had a good start for this training program, I guess. And you have covered the introduction to SPSS, the data view and the variable view, and how to import the data and different types of scales and different types of variables and how to define variables and all. So I hope the session is very clear. And ma'am, thank you so much for answering very patiently to all the questions shoot out by the participants. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, participants. We'll meet at the same time tomorrow for the day 2 session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ranika ma'am. Thank you, Ajay sir, and thank you